Tennessee Homestead. How the heck are you today? Doing good? It's Monday again. Yeah, another week. Finally got home. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, it's been hard to do this stuff while you're out on the road. Um, you know, YouTube up to its normal games. One video that I'd put up last week, I had it sitting there ready. They analyzed it, said, yep, good for ads, blah, blah, blah. Had it scheduled. When it went live, book, they demonetized it. So I had to get a hold of YouTube and get a review. And once they reviewed it, they turned it loose after all your initial traffic's gone. I love these guys. It's crazy. Never, you just never know what they did it for, because I couldn't find anything in it, and apparently another human couldn't find anything in it. So YouTube, it has been changing. You see a lot of it here of late. They're getting real tough. I guess the closer we get to the election, the worse it's going to become. Speaking of elections, I saw one of Donald Trump's ads. And if you remember, when the left's been running around screaming about how he said over Charlottesville that there's good people on both sides and, yada, yada, all that game. And Trump's backers would defend it, say it was taken out of context. That's not what the man said, blah, blah, blah. I think he didn't come out and fight against that too hard, because he had that sitting in reserve, knowing that seemed to be the favorite Democrat talking points. And he brought it out then after Joe Biden came out with the ad saying he supported these things, going, that's not what I said, here's the recording. So, yeah. Man is a heck of a troll. I'm telling you, he's smarter than he seems. Okay, he likes to play, like a loose cannon. He's not a loose cannon. He really isn't. He plays the media and the Democratic Party like a violin. He really does. Funny. Anyway, enough with that nonsense. I have been doing some reading since I had some downtime. Because I couldn't figure out where all this nonsense was coming from. And so I finally got a copy of and read the book that's being taught to our college kids and high school kids and soon our elementary school kids on critical race theory. Okay? Like, really? So, the author of this book, after you read some of her stuff for a bit, you begin to wonder, does this chick have a, white robe and a, pillow with eye cutouts in her closet? She's a racist and admits to it. Okay? Admits to it. And she's the one that wrote this book, this critical race stuff that give us all these fun things like white privilege and so forth. And how people were racist. I mean, one of the statements that this woman has made, that if she went into a party or something and there was African Americans there, blacks, okay, she would hold on tighter to her purse. That's a racist individual. So basically you have this white racist writing a book about racism. I don't think I'd want to take her advice much, and I'm sure that half of the KKK probably lines up and go, you right, honey, go, go, go. I just hate to break anybody's heart, but most Americans don't think like the KKK. Okay. Okay, another K. We got a KKK going on. Yeah. Anyway, I'm in a good mood. So, don't buy the book. You can check it out at the library, because it's going to be a waste of money to buy this thing. Because after you read it, you want to kind of, go burn it and wash your hands. It's stupid. Just utter stupidity. And But it does give you a little ammunition to fire back at these college kids. And I got to talk with a fellow that I'd met here, and wow, he's born in the Appalachian Mountains. Poor kid, poor white kid. He laughed. He says, "Man, we didn't have air conditioning. We didn't have electric lights. You know?" He said, "When I grew up." He was like, he said, "Not because they didn't have electric lights, because we couldn't afford electric lights." He said, "If we ate twice a day, we figured it was a good day." You know, he said, you wore jeans that had patches all over it. You went to these pathetic little country schools. He said, he says, white privilege? He said, they need to get their butts up into West Virginia, up into those Appalachian hills, and go talk to some of those people up there, and let's see about the white privilege. He said, because the average person living in a city that's on public aid, they're living like kings compared to what we have. He says, what nonsense. He said, here again, it's a lie made up to, by the left to justify their silliness. Another good point that I stumbled across, and I started doing a little research on it, it's like, holy, Obama and his little handmaiden, and Joe Biden, and his little handmaiden Secretary Clinton, with this Libya mess, okay? Muammar Gaddafi may not have been anybody's saint, okay? But he kept the country under control. They went in there doing their thing, knocked this man out of power, then they ran us out. We haven't been involved in it. This country has devolved into a pile of nonsense, right down to, and here's one that Black Lives Matter, you want to get on the bandwagon on this one, man, you should just be livid about this. Now they're back to selling slaves. Yep, they're enslaving people and selling them to Arab nations. Wow. Now see, USJWs and Black Lives Matter and Antifa and all this, that believe in all this nonsense, well, here's a classic example of Africans going back into slavery again because they can make a buck. And they're selling other Africans and anybody else they can lure into that country to Arabs. Of course, if they're male, they have to, make sure they can't reproduce permanently. So, they go through all this kind of nonsense, and you have, basically, as you guys like to refer to them, as your POCs and your brown brothers and sisters. Yeah, back in the slave trade. Okay? A lot of Arab nations never got out of it. But now Africa's back in the swing, and I can't think of the name of another small country down to the south that I found some information on them, and they're a specialty slave market. They primarily deal in young girls. Yeah. And you can buy one for about $14. Yeah. Yeah, and they're primarily being sold also to your Arab brown brothers and sisters. Yeah. So, shut up, you hypocrites, the lot of yous. Okay? All these people that, this little gal that was supposedly the story they're telling it was a no-knock warrant. They kicked in, I can't remember her name, Breonna Taylor, I think. Kicked her door in. Her boyfriend thought it was a burglar, jumped up and shot at police, and the police opened fire and killed her while she was asleep in her bed. Funny. When they actually got the body cams and all that kind of stuff put together, they didn't do a no-knock. They knocked. When somebody hollered from inside, they started screaming, "Police, open up." Well, the boyfriend did open up, standing in the hallway with his girlfriend in the hallway behind him, and shot through the door. Police returned fire. Different story, huh? most all of these so-called victims are turning out not to be such victims. So this girl was eyeball deep in the drug trade, standing behind her boyfriend when he opened fire on the police and got hit by rounds being returned by the police, who did not kick their door in until, I'm sure, once the shooting started, they kicked the door in. But they didn't even do a no-knock warrant. They were knocking on the door, hollering police. Doesn't fit the narrative, does it? Neither does most of them that they're out protesting about. Okay? Listen, the police and the DAs and stuff have to do their jobs. They have investigations to perform. Anytime there's an officer involved in somebody's death, you got several departments that get involved in that. Okay? It takes time to put the facts together. So no 15 minutes after one of these things go down, it's not going to be released to the public. Okay? It takes a few days, sometimes weeks, even sometimes months, before the truth all comes out. Save it. So far, I know that one kid, I think it was up in Toledo, that was playing with a toy gun, and you never hear about him. Now, he was gunned down by police, and the police were wrong. Period. We're wrong. But still in all, most of the times, not so much. Michael Brown assaulted a police officer, came back to reassault the police officer. The only one who said, "Ooh, hands up, don't shoot," was his buddy. Everybody else that was witnessing it in the neighborhood said, first they was wondering what was going on in the patrol car, because Michael Brown was halfway inside that window of that patrol car. Now, what do you think he was doing laying across that officer's lap? Getting his gun, like the officer said? Yeah. And then when the officer got out of the car and ordered Michael Brown to halt, what did he do? Put his hands up. There was even reports back during that where he was shot in the back. Even the forensic expert that his family hired said that he was not shot from the back. He had turned and charged toward that police officer, and his wounds showed that. But yeah, you put that cop through just a living hell, and his family. You want to stop the police from killing blacks? Here's a good piece of advice. You can cut your numbers way down by number one. Well, you can totally do away with it if you quit committing crime. That'd be step one. You know, y'all are doing half the crimes out there in the street with a very small population percentage. Try cutting that back a little. Oh, but we're poor. Let me tell you something. Most of us kids grew up in these poor rural areas. We didn't have the crap you guys got. We didn't have it. You, by our standards, in our growing up, man, you guys are well-to-do. But we're the ones with the white privilege, right? You know, like you got the NAACP. Where's ours? If we're so privileged. Where's ours? Now they're talking in the colleges about having segregated lunchrooms. And everybody thinks that's a good idea. You guys are taken with your stupidity. You're following procedures and stuff out of a racist book. I mean, you might as well have the KKK handbook in front of you of how you act with racism. And I got proof. Okay? So far, California is getting rid of its laws that are on the book right now forbidding them to discriminate based on race and so forth. Those are disappearing. Affirmative action's disappearing. Segregation, desegregation in housing, schooling, blah, 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 that's disappearing. Now we got white-only lunchrooms. Yeah. And you college students think that's a good idea. Black college students think, yeah, well, they don't want to eat with them people. Now, you're going to put your civil rights back 100 years. There's laws in place. You know, you talk about, oh, the whites had this head start on us. That's what affirmative action and things like that were put in place for. If you'd be smart enough to take advantage of those things, that was there to help you catch up faster. But you're gonna have to do the work, man. I know it's not as much fun as hanging out on the corner, selling drugs and playing with the hose. You got to put in the time and do the work. Yeah, well. But the system's in place, was put in place back in the 60s to give you that leg up. But you're not smart enough to take it now, are you? Think about that one for a minute. Get your head out of your tush. Everything's in place. And you guys are going to keep pushing. Pretty soon we're going to have the, National Organization for the Advancement of White People. We're going to have no affirmative action, which, if you have open, you don't have to meet any kind of racial profile in your business. Guess what's going to happen, folks? Okay? And you're also going to see things like, because of that sort of action, your equal opportunity complaints and things of this nature are going to disappear. You're going to handicap yourself as a race. Why on earth are you doing such stupid stuff? Ain't nobody going to give you anything. Okay? Ain't going to happen. Reparations were paid in this country by the men that died during the Civil War. And by the men that died before that, under Thomas Jefferson, one of those statues you tore down, who went over to North Africa and went to war with the mullahs over there and shut down the northern slave trade. A lot of good Americans died shutting it down. A lot of good British died shutting down the slave trades. And because of your Democrats over here meddling in Africa, have started it back up again. Let's go vote Democrat. There's a lot of smart blacks who have caught on. Okay? And they're going, oh, no more. Party of slaveholders, party of the KKK, destroyed the family with the war on poverty. The lies, they don't do anything for you. And Libya is a fine example. Now we've got another African country back dealing in the slave market again. Congratulations, Democrats. Super job. These people couldn't find their butts with both hands. And the sooner Americans, real Americans, wake up to this nonsense and quit playing their game, the sooner we're going to get this country fixed. This critical race theory, that needs to come out of schools. Okay? And also some of these books on white fragility, and it's nonsense. We're all Americans. You have the opportunities as long as you don't quit. If you don't stop tearing it up, you're codified in law to have equal rights. You are codified in law for affirmative action to help you move up quicker. But if you're not taking advantage of it, that's your fault, not ours. Let's stop this race nonsense. Okay? It's going to benefit nobody. If we keep going this way, we're going to find ourselves in a civil war in this nation. And it ain't going to be like the last one. Okay? And I think you're going to be amazed at how that ends up. It's nonsense. Education is important. That is why the Democrats have fought so hard to keep you blacks in poor schools. The Republican Party wants to give you a voucher to where you could even apply it to a private school if so desired. They want you to have a good education. They know what a mess the public school system is. Wake up. And while I'm on the topic of that, I noticed that they just had another bunch of mail disappear, and I'm going to put a link to this little video from John Stossel on Post Office that shows what the problem is. It's called "The Big Unions Are Keeping the Postal Service as Intact as They Can, Feeding the Votes into the Democrat Party." So the Democrats fight tooth and nail for the Postal Service because that's where they get their votes. Wake up, America. It's time we start saying, if you're not going to serve the American public, black, brown, Asian, whites, doesn't matter. If you're not serving the American public, we're going to kick your tush to the curb. I'm impressed with the fact that Donald Trump has lost money since becoming the president of the United States. And they're always screaming about, oh, we want to see his tax records. Yeah? How about we see Nancy Pelosi's and all the rest of these Democrats, all their tax records? Because for some reason, they've become multi-billionaires on a civil servant salary. I'd like to see how that's done. Other than the insider trading that they first made illegal and then made it back legal again because it was like, I can't make no money like this. Now you got a vice president running with, Joe Biden, who would keep your butt in prison longer for no other reason than to help put out fires. And by the way, I guess they've caught now 2 Antifa members and Black Lives Matter members out lighting fires in Oregon and state of Washington. That's going to get you guys in trouble, big trouble. Donald Trump's been easy on you. You better be down on your knees praying that man doesn't come back into office. Because otherwise, Black Lives Matter and Antifa, he'll come at you with everything he's got. You will not exist when he's through with this. Okay? Right now he's got to play nice. And the saddest part of it is, he will have the backing of the American people. Black, white, brown, and Asian. Because we're all sickies. And if he doesn't do it, we will. Keep that in mind, children. This is Red Jesse Homestead. I told you, save my rants for Mondays. I figure I can get by with one demonetized video a week. Love you guys and appreciate you. Man. Whew. Crazy stuff. But yeah, if you get a chance, check that book out at the public library. Do not buy it. It's a large book, probably cost a few bucks, and it is not something you want to keep on your bookshelf after you read it. But it will pretty much tell you where these kids are getting their nonsense. And the biggest thing is once we get through this election cycle and get this dust settled, we need to get into these colleges and start helping these professors load up their personal effects in the boxes and kick them out. Okay? That's where this is coming from. Your education. Okay? And now they're wanting to start it in elementary school. Think about that for a minute. This is nothing short of indoctrination and brainwashing. And these young kids are fine examples of what it turns out. A bunch of little communists. Because that's what it's designed to do. So when we get to cleaning this mess up, that's one of the first places to start. Okay? And then we're going to need to take control of our local school districts and let these teachers know you want to continue to work, slam a pile of books down on our desk and say, that's what you teach. Y'all have a great day. Have a wonderful week. And hopefully I'm going to get back home in a few days. You take care. Talk to you soon.